HOA fined black man for hoarding Springwater. So he dropped the dam and let nature handle the rest. The morning air carried a cool, damp stillness, that rare kind of quiet that only early hours can hold. Byron Leach moved slowly toward the small garden behind his weathered wooden house. His home stood on the far edge of the neighborhood, where everything else was neat, polished, and carefully managed. But his little patch of earth was different, alive. The soil breathed, dew clung to the leaves, and a small creek whispered softly behind the yard. That creek had been there long before the HOA, long before the pristine lawns. To Byron, it wasn't just water. It was memory. It was home. He lifted an old steel bucket, the same one he'd carried for years, back when his wife was alive, and walked to the creek. The water was cold, clear, familiar. He filled the bucket carefully and returned to his garden. Each pour onto the thirsty soil felt sacred, as if he was giving life back to the earth. His late wife had loved this place. Every herb, every tomato vine still carried her touch. Across the street, Gloria Penwell stood behind her spotless window, frowning. She was the president of the HOA, and she wore that title like a crown. To her, the neighborhood wasn't a community. It was a system to be controlled. She despised Byron's barrels. She despised the natural look of his garden. It clashed with her perfect, trimmed, color-coded vision. She raised her phone, zoomed in, and snapped a photo of the barrels. "Violation," she muttered coldly. Within minutes, she drafted another notice. "Remove unauthorized barrels within 48 hours or face daily penalties." She pressed send with a smirk. To Gloria, rules were the highest authority. Byron received the notice that afternoon. He didn't call. He didn't argue. He didn't even frown. He placed the letter on the dining table like a meaningless scrap of paper and went back to watering his garden. The letters kept coming, one after another. The fines increased. Neighbors whispered in hushed tones. Some quietly admired Byron's quiet strength, but no one dared to confront Gloria. She had forced families to sell their homes before, all in the name of aesthetic standards. People feared her power. At night, Byron sat beside the creek, listening to the water. Clouds gathered overhead. The wind rustled the trees. He closed his eyes and touched the ground. "This creek was here before any of us," he whispered, "and it'll be here long after." At night, Byron sat beside the creek, listening to the water. Clouds gathered overhead. The wind rustled the trees. He closed his eyes and touched the ground. "This creek was here before any of us," he whispered, "and it'll be here long after." The next morning, Gloria appeared at Byron's door with the entire HOA board in tow. Clipboards, rules, authority. "Mr. Leach," she snapped, "you are in violation of Section 14B of Community Standards. Those barrels must be removed within 48 hours. If not, we'll place a lien on your property. You can't win against the rules." Byron met her gaze, calm and steady. "You can make rules," he said softly, "but water doesn't follow them." Gloria let out a dry laugh. "Then the fines will drown you." She turned and walked away like a queen leaving her throne. That night, two elderly neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Watson, knocked on Byron's door. "We saw everything," Mrs. Watson said gently. "That creek's been here since we were kids. We used to play there. She's the one who changed it." Byron nodded slowly. "I'm not going to break anything," he replied. "I'm going to bring it back." From that night on, he worked quietly in the dark. He studied the ground, the path where the creek once ran, before the HOA illegally diverted it to build their flawless clubhouse lawn. He dug carefully, patiently. No one saw. No one heard. He wasn't fighting Gloria with noise. He was listening to the land. Meanwhile, Gloria remained confident. "He'll give up like everyone else," she told the board. "They always do. No one beats the rules." But the sky was changing. Dark clouds gathered, heavy with rain. The weather forecast warned of a major storm. Gloria ignored it. She had a landscaping party planned. She thought her power made her untouchable. The storm struck like a living thing. Wind howled. Rain slammed down. and lightning lit up the sky. The creek roared to life. But this time it had a clear path, the path Byron had quietly restored. Water surged through the soil like it was remembering its way home. It swept under fences, around flower beds, and straight across Gloria's perfectly manicured lawn. Floodlights shorted out. Decorative hedges floated like little green rafts. The perfect lawn became a rushing river within minutes. Neighbors watched from their windows, stunned. Byron's barrels stood firm, full, steady, glinting in the storm like sentinels. His garden was untouched, alive, almost celebrating. When dawn came, silence fell over the neighborhood. Mud covered everything. Gloria's prized lawn was gone. Her polished shoes sank into the soggy earth. For the first time, her rules didn't matter. Nature had spoken louder than her authority. 2 days later, the State Environmental Agency arrived. Their inspection was swift. The HOA had illegally diverted the creek years ago, without a single permit. And Gloria's signature was on every document. At the public hearing, Gloria shouted, "He sabotaged us. He dug the creek." But the officials shook their heads. "He simply restored the original flow," they said. "You're the one who broke the law." The HOA board crumbled under the scandal. Gloria was forced to resign. Heavy fines hit the association. New rules were written, this time respecting the land instead of trying to control it. Neighbors who had once stayed silent now approached Byron's fence. "You didn't fight her with noise," Mr. Watson said. "You just listened. And look what happened." Byron only smiled. He wasn't interested in revenge. Weeks passed and the neighborhood changed. The creek was declared protected land. Children splashed and played there, just like they had decades ago. The sound of flowing water became the neighborhood's heartbeat. Byron returned to his simple morning ritual. He walked to the creek with his old steel bucket. His barrels stood like loyal guardians. No more letters. No more threats. Just the steady rhythm of water meeting soil. At night, he sat by the creek once again. The air was calm. The water sang softly. "No matter how many rules they build," he whispered, "the land remembers." And in that quiet, the creek flowed freely, just like it always wanted.